Alright everybody, today we are going to try to cool down the brakes. So what I've got here is a couple of ducts, not the quack quack ducts, the DUCTS ducts. And what we're going to do is install these on the inside of the bumper cover. So essentially what these will do is they're going to just swallow up as much air as they can while we're hurtling our pile of crap down the track. And there's some hoses that connect to the backside here, and that's going to run to the backside of the front brake rotors. So this is going to force a bunch of cool air onto the brakes, and that will hopefully keep us from burning through a set of brake pads in a single race, or rotors, or what have you. So we are going to take our very abused, neglected front bumper cover here, and I'm going to obviously do a little work to fill in some holes and gouges and cracks and whatnot. But essentially, size-wise, we're going to just open these up here. I'll put this on the back side, mark where my spot is going to be, and I'm just going to cut it open to allow as much air as possible into this opening. And it's actually going to work out fairly well. The only weird thing will be, so this is actually the bottom side of the bumper cover. This is the top side of the car here. So these are going to be, actually that might be all right. So as they're sitting in the car, imagine this is the side profile of the vehicle. They're going to be pointing up like this because of the angle of the front bumper cover. I could fabricate some sort of bracket to get them level. But at this point in time, I don't care enough to do that. I just need to get them in because I've got other stuff I got to take care of. But that little angle upwards is probably going to be good because that's going to get me more in line where the center of the wheel is, and also get me up to where the frame is, and I can just run this along the bottom of the frame, or the hose anyway. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that. So bear with me a minute here. Okay, so now that my heater is started up, I thought this would be a great time to restart the video. Impeccable timing as usual. But anyway, so what I'm doing here is, I don't know if you can see this, I think you can. On the inside of the bumper cover, there's this round end to the opening in the bumper cover, which kind of works really well for right here. So what I plan on doing is butting that up right here, and then just coming in and cutting this off to where I need to. So this will be like my my placement or my marker for where the inside edge of that vent is going to go. So I basically mount there. Then once I cut all this off here, so the inside is flush, then I can set this on there and get my placement where I want it. So I'm going to start with that. I'm actually just using a box knife or a utility knife. It seems to cut through it pretty well, clean line. I have to make a couple passes with it to get all the way through, but that's fine. Try and use like a cutoff wheel, or I can't get in there with a jigsaw really. Cutoff wheel is just going to melt it and make a mess of everything. So this, for the tools I have here, this seems to be the best option. So yeah, I'm gonna fire up some time lapse for you guys, so I can save you a little bit of pain here. Okay, so we got that chunk cut out. This is essentially what I cut out of there. Okay, and that now gives us space to put this guy in from the back side. And it won't even be that noticeable, honestly, from the front of the car. So from the inside, actually, instead of tipping you guys upside down, so it's gonna sit in there like this. Yay. Can connect my hose there, and we should be in pretty good shape. So I'm gonna get that down low in here. This is the bottom of the car. I'm gonna get that as low in there as I can. But to attach it, I'm just gonna use some rivets. Yeah, I think I'll use some rivets, and I'll just make some little aluminum strips to go on the back side of this so I don't pull the rivets through the plastic. Maybe there's a better way to do that. I'll have to think about how I'm going to attach that. But yeah, so that's basically the idea behind it here. And I'm going to cut the other one out and then figure out how I'm going to attach. And then I'll pick up with you guys again here in a little bit. All right, so what I opted to do here is I have some sheath aluminum, not super thick stuff, and I just trace the outline of these. So I'm going to cut them out, and then I'm going to cut out the insides, and it'll basically just slip around the outside of this, and I'll have a continuous ring around the back side, and that'll help keep the rivets from pulling through the plastic. So I'll see if I can get my shears to cooperate here. just cleaning up the corners here a little bit. So now I need to figure out my inside and cut that out, and I'll be left with just a thin ring here on the outside. Alright, so we're going to do a 1/2 inch perimeter around the edge here. And if I need to go smaller, I can trim out where I need, but this will give us a good starting point. Alright, so we've got our outline there. I just use a stencil to give myself some round inside corners. So I cut those around. That way I don't have sharp corners inside. But hopefully those will fit around. Yeah, those will fit fine around out here. So basically cut this out in the center, and then this outer ring should slip on to the back side and give us some support for when we rivet this onto the bumper cover. Okay, so this was my next step. I went ahead and drilled out the corners, okay, with my step bit. So now I can come in with the jigsaw and I can just drop it right down into the hole, okay? And then all I gotta do is follow along the line. So straight line, straight line, straight line, straight line. Because you're not gonna get your jigsaw in a radius that tight. You're not gonna be able to turn that corner without binding it up and tweaking the hell out of the metal and things like that. So I'll go ahead and do that quick on these two, and we'll be right back. All right, there we go. A couple of rings to go around the outside of those ducts. So I'll have to clean those up a little bit. Some of the corners are a little boogery there. But yeah, so the next step will be just fitting them on, making sure they clear, and drill some holes, and then we can start riveting these ducts into the front bumper cover. Okay, now that I've got my little rings made, I'm going to tape them on here just to keep everything flat, and then I'm going to go ahead and drill my holes around the perimeter of these. Then I'll set them on there, I'll tape them on to that, and then I'll use those holes in here as a template to drill my holes in the bumper cover. And then from there, we can rivet them in. I'm probably going to mix up some epoxy too to run around the outside here, and that's going to help seal things up and keep everything airtight as well, because we want all the air getting forced through here that we possibly can. We don't want air escaping through the sides or anything like that. So. Using a little masking tape is a lot easier than trying to line up a bunch of clamps on here. And since these things don't want to lay flat, it helps to accomplish that as well. The other nice thing about using this kind of thinner aluminum is that it's flexible. You know, this surface isn't completely flat that we're going to be riveting this to. So that's an added benefit there. It's going to help. It's going to more easily conform to the curved face there. So, good. Okay. So let's see. Now most of this I'm just eyeballing because, you know, these measurements aren't super important. Just want to make sure. That I'm going to be getting through both layers of material. So I'm going to start the corners. And I'm going to drill a lot of holes. I'm doing basically 5 across the top and bottom and 2 on each side here, or I guess 4 if you count the corners. But I'm only using 1/8-inch rivets. I didn't have enough of the bigger ones, and this will probably work better anyway because it's such a small area to get those rivets in there. I could potentially drill my hole and end up being out past the edge of the plastic, so this will work fine. And plus with the epoxy in there I'm going to use, it should be moving afterwards. So I'm going to go ahead and drill holes and get some epoxy set up, and then we'll come back when I have one in there. I'll probably just do some time lapse for now. Alright, so you saw a lot of taping and drilling and taping and drilling. Basically we've got our holes all the way around now, okay? And then I tape this back up and I use the rivets to line the holes up, tape it back together again, then tape it to the inside of the bumper cover, and I drilled like 5 holes based off of these. So that'll give me a good starting point to mount it, and then I can finish drilling the rest of the holes. Right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to scuff up the back side of this and the front side of this and scuff up the inside of the bumper cover, because that's going to help the epoxy adhere better. And this stuff's got about a 5-minute work time. So I'm going to get to that, and then we're going to get messy. So hang tight. Okay, so I'm ready to start mixing up my epoxy here. I decided I'm going to use this plastic bonder instead, because the other stuff said that it doesn't work with certain types of plastic. And since I don't know exactly what types of plastic these are, I don't want to use it and not have it work. So I'm just going to use this stuff. I've used it on some other things and it works pretty well. And this gives me about 15 minutes of work time as well. So and it's a two-part epoxy. If you've never used this stuff before, it's basically two separate tubes of different materials. You've got your glue and like a hardener, and you just squirt this stuff out. You can see you got two different colors there, and you just mix them up. Make sure you get these mixed really evenly, because if you have spots where you don't have your hardener mixed in, you're going to have weak spots in your epoxy. Probably going to make a mess of this because I'm going to be gluing multiple sides. But we're just going to have to make that work. And that's what the gloves are for, making a mess. Trying to work somewhat fast here. It may not have mixed up enough here. Actually, I probably didn't. I probably won't have enough for the other side. Or for the other duct, I mean. Side of this. And this stuff isn't just for plastics, it'll work on other materials as well, but it's geared or targeted at plastics. A little shy here on how much you need. It's sticky. It is sticky. Let's see. I'm going to make sure I get this on the correct way. It's not that way. Alright. Try not to get glue all over the rivets as I put them in, because that could cause problems with the rivet gun. Pop one of these in. this in backwards. Do not want to make that mistake. That would be bad. That would be bad. Okay. Our rivet coming in from the front side here. One down. Okay. I hate it when that happens. Didn't break off the pin inside like it's supposed to, so now I'm going to have to go back and cut that off and then grind it smooth. Okay, now I got to finish drilling my holes quickly so I can put the rest of the rivets in. left here. All right. Show you what we got here. So now, there is our functional air duct, okay? And like I said, this one, the pin didn't break off inside didn't break off inside like it's supposed to. So I just cut it off with a side cutter, and I'll go back and I'll grind that smooth. But now you can see we have a very direct air path, and on the back side, this tubing that you see there will get connected to that. And then I will just have to make a little bracket to mount on the back side of the rotor. So, you know, it's only gonna sit like that far off the rotor, the bracket that I make. That way the air has no option but to hit the rotor and cool that off. So there's that. I still have to do the other side, but I'm gonna have to get more epoxy, I think. I don't know that I have enough to finish it off. And I don't want to run out partway through because that will not be good. That'll screw everything up. So I think I'll take what I have, and I'm going to go ahead and fill some of these tears and holes, license plate holes and stuff like that. I'll fill those in with the epoxy, and then go to the store and get some more for that side. And then after that, we can start getting this thing ready to paint. Paint. And then it's going to start looking nice. So again, thanks guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll bring you more as new projects come along.